Mr Speaker, it's very pleasing to introduce this amendment bill for the Fast Track Approvals Act to promote supermarket competition and to improve the application process so it's more efficient for all fast track projects. Mr Speaker, the government's making this change to make it clear to the grocery retail sector that projects that will improve competition are within fast track scope. It's a range of technical and machinery amendments are also aimed at speeding up the application process by up to 6 weeks or potentially more in some cases. The aim of the changes is to cumulatively reduce timeframes, lower costs, improve flexibility and clarify operational matters. Mr Speaker, Fast Track was designed to offer a streamlined alternative to convoluted RMA-based consenting processes and also to establish a one-stop shop regime. That means large or complex projects can now make a simple application for multiple consents, permissions and approvals. There's been a steady stream of applications since February this year and several large projects gaining final approval from independent expert panels. There is real appetite for the fast track approvals process. The government's very proud about how it's working. It's worth noting it's not the first time the Parliament has authorised a fast track regime. The previous government had its own version. We think our version's better, but two versions, okay. Well, we think our version's triply better than the member reading out her version. We are happy with how it's going so far, but our view is that there are a range of process-based improvements that can be made. We've consulted with applicants, agencies, councils and actually the expert or the panel conveners themselves around improving the operational efficiency of the Act. In terms of the grocery retail developments, as I think all members know, we're focused on creating the conditions for enduring improvements to grocery competition to benefit consumers. Grocery retailers are not excluded from fast track applications, but we have heard that potential grocery retailers are not confident their projects will be eligible. So the bill includes proposals to remove barriers to entry and expansion of new competitors by making it easier to get consents for new supermarkets. The changes clarify that improving regional or national competition in the grocery industry is a valid factor the Minister for Infrastructure can consider in referral decisions, and expert panels must have regard to the Minister's reasons for referring an application, including those relating to grocery competition. The bill proposes a general power to issue government policy statements, including on grocery retail competition, which the Minister for Infrastructure and expert panels must consider when making project decisions. We're also making changes to the eligibility criteria for the multi-proof approvals regime to support both grocery developments and developments in other sectors with more streamlined building consenting. Timeframes for approvals will vary case by case, but we do expect the streamlined approach. Grocery developments could obtain necessary consents and resource management approvals in a year or less after formal lodgement. The Commerce Commission's recent annual grocery report tells us it takes on average 18 months and $1 million to obtain consent for a new supermarket, which when you think about it is totally nuts. Well, we're fixing that, watch this space, but 18 months and $1 million for a new supermarket, I think is frankly nuts, Mr Speaker, and indefensible. In relation to the technical and machinery improvements, the description of this undersells the fact that combined effect will be to make fast track more operationally and procedurally efficient. Our estimates are it will take at least 6 weeks, and potentially more, out of the current statutorily prescribed processes. The referral process for projects approved for referral currently takes on average of 71 working days, and the substantive stage takes on average of 130 working days. Process improvements could reduce this further. It's probably not the right place to give a comprehensive overview of the amendments here. They are summarised in the legislative statement and in the bill itself, but I would summarise their intent, Mr Speaker, by saying the aim is to reduce process time and complexities. So, for example, the amendments will allow part of the process to occur in parallel where that makes sense. We'll also give applicants and other users more clarity on what information is required at various application stages. They will allow applicants to address information gaps during the earlier stages of the process. The amendments include proposals to reduce the scope for projects to be rejected on procedural grounds if part of the application is withdrawn. It proposes applications can be granted conditionally without planned future infrastructure, such as roads and services being completed. And proposals in the bill will clarify that Schedule 2 listed projects are nationally or regionally significant. This will allow expert panels to focus on the adverse impacts and whether or not they outweigh the project's benefits and reduce unnecessary litigation. Several technical amendments are proposed by MFE, Ministry of the Environment, Department of Conservation and MB. which include correcting lapsing rules, aligning reporting obligations, and resolving inconsistencies in a variety of provisions. And we are also fixing the issue around the Stellar Passage development at the Port of Tauranga to make sure that that project description is rightly aligned with what the project is, following a recent High Court case. Amendments that do not require system changes, such as the grocery competition-related amendments, will come into force on the day after the date of royal assent. Amendments that require post-enactment updates to systems and processes could be in place by February 26 to allow time for implementation. Mr Speaker, I'd like to thank the government agencies involved in drafting the bill for their continued efforts. I also want to thank all those who engaged in a bit of a process we ran to suggest improvements for engaging or using fast track. This is a relatively straightforward, simple amendment bill that we want to get through the House so that we can make those machinery and technical improvements to make sure that people can continue to benefit from the great work that Fast Track is doing. Commend the bill to the House.
The Honourable Rachel Brooking.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, for this opportunity to speak on the bill. We support the grocery provisions, but we do not support the rest of this bill.
Good job.
The Honourable Julianne Genter.
Tēnā koe, Madam Speaker. Tēnā koutou e te whare. As my colleague Rachel Brooking so eloquently laid out, government's going to be changing.
Madam Speaker.
Simon Court.
Madam Speaker, I'm proud to stand here on behalf of the ACT Party to support the Fast Track Approvals Amendment Bill. This bill is about fixing what matters, making sure the one-stop shop for complex consenting actually functions as Cabinet intended. Because it turns out that some of the things Kiwis need, like more supermarkets, actually need a bit of a nudge. And what this bill does, it allows supermarkets that qualify to enter the fast track system and have all the things they typically need consents for: earthworks, putting in drainage, traffic management, all of these things consented in one place and with a very strict set of criteria. Is there a national and regional significance test? It turns out that we need more supermarkets because competition means lower prices. Lower prices means more affordable things for Kiwis, like food and all those other groceries that many families worry, can they afford and pay the other bills that they get every month in the mail. What this bill does, introduces supermarket competition and also clarifies that some specific significant projects like Tauranga's Stellar Passage project for Tauranga Port actually are covered by the fast track process. Because believe it or not, despite this government's stated intention that we should get on with consenting and delivering projects, meet environmental tests, meet our conservation obligations, and of course, compensate people fairly under the Public Works Act if land is acquired or impaired by the development of these projects. Some of the decision-making processes have identified actually the legislation needs a bit of panel beating. That's what this government's all about. We're not here to claim that everything that we've said or done is perfect, but we are here to fix what matters. And what's coming after this, in just a few weeks' time, is introduction of a new resource management system, 2 new bills to deal with planning and environmental matters separately, that are going to resolve some of the underlying problems that Fast Track intends to solve. We're always going to need a one-stop shop for complex consenting, but those underlying resource management issues need an entirely new system of their own. At the moment, Kiwis need to get 40,000 consents a year for things, everything from where you might hang a laundry line to a tiny retaining wall, and of course major infrastructure. We need to get that back to something far more sensible. When I studied civil engineering, Kiwis only needed 5,000 consents a year. We need to be much more ambitious. Fast Track is ambitious. ACT is here to fix what matters. That's why we support this bill, Madam Speaker.
Chair, Jamie Arbuckle.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise on behalf of New Zealand First to support the Fast Track Approvals Amendment Bill. And yes, it is true, Madam Speaker, this was a core part of the New Zealand First national coalition agreement. And yes, I know from the experience, the leader, the Honourable Winston Peters and Shane Jones, yes, in that briefcase when they rocked up to those meetings, this bill was in there. And yes, finally we're getting it to look like more like what we wanted to start with. It is a one-stop shop for consenting, and it is, in New Zealand we have an issue at the moment around productivity, and we need to get these projects consented. It's also, we're talking about the supermarkets, we're also talking about regional New Zealand where we need competition. We need to start seeing extra competition in the supermarket industry, and this bill will allow that to happen. We're also seeing around consultation. I've been a resource consent hearings commissioner, and the nonsense that goes on in some of these consent hearings from people across the country who have nothing to do with the thing that's trying to be consented, when the local communities want to see a project to be consented underway to create economic activity and jobs. It is stifled by people that don't even live there, have nothing to do with the area. It's also going to make the process 6 weeks quicker. That's something we want to do. We want to see a pipeline of activity. We want to see that we've got one project where people can go from onto another project to create that economic activity. On that side of the house, all we hear is no. No, we've heard no to infrastructure, no to airports, no to roads, we've heard no to housing, no to energy projects, no to the supermarkets, because they're not going to vote for it. They said they would, but they won't. They're going to say no to mining, because mining's no good for them, no to aquaculture, and to my right here, they're also saying no to farming activities. They say no to everything. So I actually don't know what their plan is. I know our plan is a pipeline. It's going to give a lot of activity. We're going to get rid of the delays. I commend this bill to the House.
Honourable Nicola Willis.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the Minister for Infrastructure for his opening remarks. I'm pleased to speak to the Fast Track and Approvals Amendment Bill because it will support grocery competition and thereby enable better deals for Kiwi shoppers. This bill helps to create an express lane for new supermarkets to boost competition in the grocery sector. The amendments in this bill make it clear to those considering opening new supermarkets that their projects are within the fast track regime scope if they improve competition. These changes to clarify eligibility are about easing the barriers that we've been told are holding back competition in our grocery market. We're doing this because Kiwi shoppers need and deserve greater competition so they can benefit from lower prices and more choice. And this bill is a step towards achieving that. Madam Speaker, the New Zealand Commerce Commission has found that competition in the New Zealand grocery sector is limited. The sector is highly concentrated, with the major grocery retailers, Woolworths and Foodstuffs North and South Island, making up 82% of the market. While they have different banners and brands underneath them, essentially we have a duopoly in our supermarket sector in New Zealand, which contributes to less affordable groceries for everyday Kiwis. And the limited competition also means Kiwi shoppers have less choice about where they shop and face higher prices at the checkout compared with other countries. You can choose between a Pack and Save and a New World, but ultimately they're both foodstuffs. You can choose between a Woolworths and a Fresh Choice, but ultimately they're both Woolworths. We want more real, genuine choice for New Zealand shoppers, because when we look around the world, the countries that have more choice also have more affordable options for their people. Right now, New Zealand consumers spend more on groceries than in Australia and the UK, with our grocery expenditure the 5th highest per person in the developed world. Earlier this year, I ran a request for information process. What I wanted to know was what is holding back those investors or retailers who might otherwise be able to offer a competitive alternative in this sector. We asked them, what would help you as a challenger take on the major grocery retailers. Because we get it. It's a big task when you've got two behemoths that you're up against that have massive market power. It's a pretty tough undertaking to say, I'm going to enter that market and compete and win. So our position was, if the government has created any barriers or red tape or regulations that are making that task even harder, we have a responsibility to tear that red tape down and ensure we're not standing in the way of competition. Now, we can't compel a new investor to come into New Zealand and start a new supermarket chain. That is not within our powers. What we can do is say to those investors who might be considering it, we are on your side and we will get rid of anything that may be standing in your way that is within the control of government. So when we did the request for information process, we got detailed, granular feedback about some of the issues that do currently stand in the way. And we heard loud and clear, there was a lot of frustration with restrictive zoning. Restrictive zoning that in many parts of the country says there's only this tiny envelope of land in which you are actually allowed to build a commercial retailer, in which you could actually build a supermarket. There may be a huge amount of land in New Zealand that's zoned for other purposes, be it housing or farming or commercial development, but actually in a lot of regions in this country, we actively, currently, because of the Resource Management Act, restrict where people can buy land that can be developed for a supermarket. That's crazy, because actually what we should be saying is when it comes to the abundant land we have in our towns and regions, and we're thinking about how we could use that in a good way, one of the best ways it can be used is to ensure that Kiwi shoppers are getting a better deal. And that's what this fast track change is all about. It's not, of course, just the consenting, it's a bunch of other cumbersome regulations that make it difficult for new competitors to gain a foothold, and we are addressing those too. We think it is unconscionable to keep in place...
The member's time has expired.
Oh, am I... What, I thought it was a 10-minute call.
The Honourable Priyanka Rahakrishnan.
Now, anyone listening to the speeches in this House would be forgiven for thinking that according to Nicola Willis, Chris Bishop and Shane Jones, this bill is just about creating a consenting express lane for new supermarkets to improve grocery competition. Sadly, that's not what it's about. That's not all that it's about. We cannot support this bill.
Catherine Wedd.
Is to support the fast track approvals amendment bill, because we need to get things built in this country. We need things consented faster. That includes supermarkets, where we need to see more competition, where we need to see more choice for New Zealand shoppers so we can reduce the cost of living. And look, the fast track system has been really successful so far. I'm about to turn the sod shortly on the Hawke's Bay Expressway. This was fast track. This is what delivery means, what building infrastructure in this country means. We're a government of action, and I commend this bill to the House.
Arana Williams.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. There are serious questions and legitimate issues about land supply in New Zealand, particularly those small towns that are planned with 2 spaces for supermarkets. We should do something about that. Right. We should have a bill where we can discuss that seriously. But instead we have this thing, which mixes it all in there with changes that we could never support, that undermine our protections for nature and for the environment that we need.
Grant McCullum.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, I'm proud to stand up here in this House and support, once again, a bill that believes and supports in getting things done. What we're looking to do here is allow for more competition in the supermarket sector so people can lower their cost of living. That's what it's about. The last speaker seems to have forgotten about the 7.2% inflation that we inherited from them, and we have done a lot of great work to change that. And the other thing this bill will do is allow us to build great projects all around this country, and the main one, of course, it's the most important one, is to get that new road over the Brindlewins so that it's got resilient infrastructure into Northland. I commend this bill.
Madam Speaker, sorry. I'm just sorry, I'm standing to take a call for Te Pāti Māori on this bill.
I have already started to put the question.
She was seeking the call before you actually moved.
Oh, okay, there was so much noise, I didn't hear it. Thank you for that.
Sorry.
It does help with the order of the House
Yes.
if members take their call in the appropriate order.
Of course,
I call
my apologies.
Mariamino Kapakinga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is, I think, probably the 45th time I've stood today. So thank you, Madam Speaker. For all good purpose, though, Duncan, tēnā koe. No surprises. I stand on behalf of Te Pāti Māori to no surprises, oppose the fast-track approvals amendment bill. My cousin Shane Jones will be probably very disappointed but not surprised. Te Pāti Māori cannot support it. Tēnā koe, tēnā tātou.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. No. The noes have it. A party vote's called for, Mr Clark.
New Zealand National.
49 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
Tori te kaumawha e whakahe.
Green Party of Aotearoa New Zealand.
Te kaumarima ngā poti e whakahe.
Act New Zealand.
11 in favour.
New Zealand First. Te Pāti Māori.
Votes opposed.
The ayes are 68, the noes are 55. The question is agreed to.
Fast Track Approvals Amendment Bill, first reading.
The question is that the Fast Track Approvals Bill be considered by the Environment Committee. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it.